Hey guys! Thanks for tuning in to our Roots online service. Today, we are starting a new series called In My Opinion. We live in a world where everyone has an opinion about someone else. But the problem with that, we can have some pretty negative opinions about others. So, how can we make sure to think of others the way that Christ sees them? I don't know about you, but I'm so excited for this series. Before we start, I want to encourage you to fill out a Connect card or a prayer request on the links above. You can even ask your host to pray for you right now with the live prayer link. Hope you guys enjoy the service, and I'll see you all after the message. Roots online service starts right now.
was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the Son sets free, always free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. He loves, he is ransomed blood is tested like a covenant of old, and your love is enduring through the winter rain and beyond the horizon, with mercy for today. Faithful you have been, and faithful you will be. You pledge yourself to me, and it's why I sing. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. You father the orphan, your kindness makes us whole, and you shoulder our weakness, and your strength becomes our own. Now you're making me like you, clothing me in white, bringing beauty from ashes. For you will have your bride, free of all her guilt, and rid of all her shame, and known by her true name. And it's why I sing. Your praise will
Hey guys, welcome to our Roots online service for middle schoolers. And we're starting a new series today called In My Opinion. Why is it called that? Well, because if there's one thing that we all have, it's an opinion. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I hear that phrase, in my opinion, a lot. Sometimes we use it when we're not totally sure how what we're going to say will be received or if it will be judged. Like maybe you want to talk about your favorite song or the coolest new sneakers or that math test that you just took. But if you don't know if everybody else feels the same way that you do about it, so all you do is you add a quick in my opinion, to what you're about to say in order to protect yourself from judgment. In my opinion, it's the best song ever written. In my opinion, those sneakers are the coolest thing that I've ever seen. In my opinion, that math test was awful. And we might use that phrase when we don't want other people to judge us. But it works both ways. Sometimes we use it to give ourselves permission to be the ones passing the judgment. Adding a quick, in my opinion, makes us feel free to say what we really think. In my opinion, she's too clingy. In my opinion, that guy is a real jerk. That movie is so nerdy, in my opinion. On their own, those thoughts are merely judgments we've made about other people. But when we present them as opinions, we suddenly feel better about sharing them. Now, just to be clear, there's nothing wrong with an opinion, both having one and sharing one. The problem is that sometimes what we call an opinion is really just judgment. It's something negative that we think or say about someone else. And when we start spreading those opinions around, well, then we've got a problem. But you don't need me to tell you this, do you? As middle schoolers, you know exactly how much time people spend spreading their opinions around. You know better than most just how often students talk or gossip about each other. And here's my question about that. Why? Why is it that we find gossip such an easy thing to do? Why do we feel so free to talk about each other? Well, I think it's honestly for a few reasons. For starters, I think our insecurities sometimes motivate us to gossip. We talk about other people so that nobody points out what's wrong with us. After all, it's easier to focus on the insecurities others have than to let them know what we're insecure about. Or maybe we gossip because it's a way to bond with our friends. If we can contribute to the conversation with a good piece of gossip, we feel like we've gotten in with people we're talking to. And isn't it better to feel in than to feel like on the outs? Maybe we gossip because honestly, it's fun. We like to be the first to know a good story or crazy rumor or piece of information about someone else. There's just something exciting about being in the middle of the stuff that's happening at school, in our friend group, or maybe even in our family. And because of that, we talk about it. Or maybe for some of us, gossip is about competition. We want to be the best or the coolest or the most popular. And in order to get there, we feel like we have to cut other people down. We have to talk badly about others to show that we're the best. Or maybe, and this one is a little tricky, sometimes we gossip because it's true. Those opinions we share aren't just opinions, they're facts. That girl really did date that guy. That kid in your science class really did cheat on that test. That guy actually did show up at that party this weekend. That student in your life group or your small group definitely did get caught doing something that they weren't supposed to do. And because it's true, we think it's okay to talk about it. And after all, they kind of brought it upon themselves, right? What's even trickier is that sometimes we don't mean any harm with what we say. Our intentions aren't bad. We all talk to our friends about everything, and that includes the latest gossip. And sometimes we share it because we really are worried or surprised or want to help in some way. Besides, we trust the person we're talking to, right? We know they won't tell or repeat what we're saying, will they? How many of your conversations that include gossip start with a sentence like this? I'm not supposed to tell anyone this, but... The reality is gossip is a huge part of our current culture. We hate TV shows or we have TV shows and podcasts and other forms of entertainment that are basically centered around the idea that it's okay to gossip about and judge other people. Some celebrities build their entire brand on being talked about. They don't mind being the center of the gossip because it means they're the center of attention. And social media, well, the comment section there could almost be called the gossip section on some post. Maybe you even see this playing out at home or at church or at school. Your parents, your teachers, your coaches, your life group leaders, they gossip around you, so could it really be that big of a deal? Well, I think we all know the answer to that question, and we know that it's yes. We know because we've seen gossip go bad. We've seen the consequences and hurt and embarrassment it's brought upon someone else. And maybe we've even experienced it ourselves, but is there anything we can do to change it? If gossip is such a big part of our culture, how are we supposed to keep from doing it? Today we're going to look at a verse from the Bible written by a guy known as the Apostle Paul. Now, Paul was a leader in the early church, in the early Christian church, and he had a lot of influence in the spread of Christianity around the world. And because of that, he often wrote letters to encourage the Christian churches of his time. A lot of those letters are part of what is called the New Testament in the Bible. And the verse here, and the verse that we're going to be looking at today, is from a book called Ephesians, which is actually a letter Paul wrote to the church in a city called Ephesus. Paul wanted to encourage the believers there to live differently than the people around them. And one of the areas where Paul wanted his fellow Jesus followers to live differently was in the way that they spoke. And here's what he wrote in Ephesians 4:29. It says, "Don't use foul or abusive language." So when Paul used the phrase foul and abusive language here, he wasn't just talking about cuss words or harsh words or mean names. He was talking about any language that hurts, that breaks down, and damages friendships, relationships, and influence. In fact, the Greek word he used here actually translates to mean rotten. And have you ever seen a piece of rotten fruit? It's like gross, right? It smells, it turns a nasty color, it attracts flies, and basically is nothing that you want lying around in your own kitchen. Well, Paul said that this kind of language, the opinions that we spread around as gossip, does the same. It rots our relationships, our friendships, and our ability to influence other people for good. So what do? How do we start to produce good instead of rotten fruit with the words that come out of our mouths? Well, I think something that Jesus said can give us an idea. And so let's take a look at what Jesus says in Mark 7:15. And he says, "It's not what goes into your body that defiles you. You are defiled by what comes from your heart." And can I just let you in on a little secret about gossip? It's not really about the person that you're talking about. No. Gossip is really more about what's happening inside of you. It's about what's happening in your heart. And that's what Jesus was saying here. When we use language that hurts or speaks badly about someone else, the kind of language that rots, that's happening because of something similar, something rotten going on in our own hearts. When you talk badly about someone or speak with the intention of hurting, embarrassing, or shaming them, it doesn't necessarily show something rotten about that person. It shows something rotten happening inside of you. And I don't know about you, but that's not the kind of fruit I want to produce in my life. So if we want to change our words and stop gossiping, we've got to check our hearts. we've got to ask ourselves what's going on inside of us that makes us want to say those things. And then we've got to make a choice to change our language. Because here's the truth. When it comes to gossip, you can choose not to participate. You can choose not to speak words that hurt or shame or embarrass someone else. And here's what I love about this. Paul didn't leave us to figure it out on our own. If we go back to his letter one more time, he gives us a tip on exactly what kind of language we can choose that's not only better for the other person, but better for ourselves. Verse 29 says, "Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them." So instead of gossiping, Paul said that we can choose words that are good and helpful. We can choose to say things that encourage not just the people that we're talking about, but also anyone who hears what we say. In other words, we can choose words that help others, not words that hurt others. When you love and care about other people first, when that's the attitude in your heart, you'll stop yourself from saying the negative things. You'll think about them before you. You'll stop the gossip before it starts. So remember, choose words that help others, not words that hurt others. Now, I know gossip is going to be all around you, and everyone else might be doing it, but you get to choose if you contribute or not. In fact, you have power not to do what everyone else is doing. You have the power to choose words that build people up instead of tear people down. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but just because it's fun or natural or true doesn't mean it's good. And you don't have to do this on your own. God's very Spirit lives inside of you, and He'd love to help you choose to speak life instead of words that rot. So ask Him for help. The next time you find yourself about to give an opinion that you know is nothing more than gossip, I want you to stop and ask yourself this: why do I want to say this? What's happening in me that's making me want to say this thing to or about someone else? What does this show me about my heart? Identify where your heart's desire is to gossip. Where is it coming from? Then give yourself a new filter for your words. Use the one that Paul gave to us by asking, is it helpful? Is what you're about to say helpful to someone else? Is it going to build up or encourage? Is it going to bring good fruit? If the answer to any of these questions is no, then let that be a sign that you probably don't need to say it. Let that stop you from saying it. Because we should choose words that help others, not words that hurt others. So let me pray. Father, I just pray for every single one of these middle schoolers here. If they are stuck in gossip, if they are stuck in always wanting to share something that really is not necessary, really is something that really tears other people down, I pray that you can give us a filter to ask, is this helpful? And I pray that the words that come out of our mouths are words that build others up, that encourage others, that really speak the great things about other people around us. So Father, give us those good words, and may we be a light to other people, and may our words and actions be what bring people to want to know who you are. We love you, Jesus, and we thank you. Give us a great week, and we love you. Pray this in your name. Amen. Thanks, guys. We will see you next week back here online. Make sure to say Happy Father's Day to your dad today. All right? All right. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.
Hey, Roots, can I spill the tea on Tyler? Did you know that he... Wait, I don't think what I'm about to say is going to be helpful and build him up. So you know what? This is what I want to say. Did you know that Tyler's a pretty cool boss? But seriously, I hope this message helped you understand how you can stop gossip in its tracks and use your words to build others up. Thanks for joining us today on our online service. Stick around a little bit and chat with your online host today. Maybe you can even answer a few questions that will be on the screen. We'll see you back online next week. Bye, guys!